Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Cardano and its native token ADA. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Remember to stake your ADA with the ITC2 stake pool. You can also stake with ITC as well, but the ITC2 is the one I'm recommending you stake with if you are just now joining. Let's go ahead and jump in. So where is ADA today? Well, right now we're trading at a very modest $2.35. And you know, we're not really, we haven't really had high expectations for ADA in the short term, right, over the last few weeks. And the reason being, well, after the launch of smart contracts, we said we'll expect kind of a lull in the market, right? Similar to what happened after the launch of Shelley, but that eventually we'll come out the other side. And eventually we'll break out of this long reaccumulation zone, and eventually we will very likely trend higher. Now, of course, a lot of this is very dependent on Bitcoin and Bitcoin holding the 20-week SMA, which we've talked about at length. But if we go look at this chart here, you guys remember during this move when we had this crazy rally from like 10 cents to $1 over a relatively short period of time. And during this time, there were a lot of price predictions on ADA back then of, you know, $100, $150 and whatnot. And we said, what? No. We said, what needs to happen? We're probably going to have a long reaccumulation phase. Not a short one, not one that lasts 2 weeks, but a long reaccumulation phase. And more or less, that accumulation phase has taken place between around $1, up to around $2.50. Okay, so this has been generally the reaccumulation zone. Now, we did pop our head above it, right? We actually came above it for a little bit, and we are continuing to slowly move up. Okay, so let's just take a really hard look at this market here. Okay, so we came up in January, leveled off in February and March and April. This is our why does ADA never do anything phase. We love this phase, right? This is the best phase, the why does ADA never do anything phase. We had to move up to put in a new all-time high of almost $2.50. We came down back to our why does ADA never do anything phase, held support at the bull market support band, more or less, right? More or less, which is actually remarkable considering that Bitcoin was below its own 20-week for so long. It is remarkable. We came back up, we put in a new all-time high. Where did we drop to in the most recent drop? Where did ADA drop to? Well, it dropped to the bull market support band, right? That's where it dropped. So this is clearly a level that we should in fact keep an eye on. If you're curious, the range of the bull market support band, it ranges from about 185 up to 190. So if you see us at 185 to 190, hopefully we will hold the line at the bull market support band. Now, we drew this somewhat sideways here, but we could also maybe look at this a different way and draw it something like this. And maybe what we should do is look at it on a daily time frame, and it might be a little bit clearer what's going on. Because maybe we're sort of in a phase that looks something like this, right? Where we are in this ascending channel, and we are slowly but surely going up, okay? Rather than looking at it as if we're moving sideways, let's account for all these wicks down here and recognize that while there are corrections, we are having higher lows, right? We're still having higher lows. If we were to come all the way back down to the bottom of this channel, it would mean that 120 is still theoretically in the cards. Now, the only way that I could see ADA going back to 120 at this point in the short term would be if Bitcoin didn't hold the line, right? But the great thing about ADA at this point is that the price is already at like 240. So I mean, even if Bitcoin dropped 30% or 40% or something, there's still a high likelihood that ADA will still be over $1. And remember, as long as you're earning interest on your ADA, you don't really care about these short-term price movements anyways. It just gives you longer to accumulate because you're not looking to sell ADA tomorrow. It's a long-term investment, right? It's a long-term investment. You're betting on what it will become. It's sort of like the arguments I had with people in the comment section of my old videos when ADA was at a few pennies. and people would say things like, well, you know, ADA doesn't have smart contracts, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that. My response was always the same, you know, thank you, Captain Obvious, but I'm not buying it for what it was then. I was buying it for what I thought it would become, right? I was buying it for what I thought it would become. And I think the most exciting upcoming thing for Cardano, one of the most exciting things, is in fact DeFi on the Cardano network. Okay, so I'm hoping that, I mean, obviously when you have the launch of smart contracts, you need to see that lull in the market to, you know, for the ecosystem to really take off. It's going to take some time. There's going to be some growing pains, but I do believe Cardano will come out the other side. And when the DeFi ecosystem on Cardano is just humming along, I think it's going to, you know, lead to another price appreciation stage. All right, and will ultimately trend higher, hopefully to a new reaccumulation zone. Hopefully to a new why does ADA never do anything phase, right? We love these phases. And, you know, a lot of people don't like the why does ADA never do anything phase. We've had plenty of them. I'm sure a lot of you guys remember the one where we were over here at around 10 cents or so. We had plenty of them over here at 4 cents. We were at 4 cents forever, 4 or 5 cents and whatnot. But now we look at it and say, well, you know, I mean, to be completely fair to ADA, it has been more or less just generally trending up with time, right? I mean, it has been moving up, down to the bottom here, up to the top, down to the bottom, up to the top. So we're just slowly moving up, right? We're slowly moving up. I do believe ADA has a bright future ahead. And my speculation several weeks ago, before the launch of smart contracts, we'll probably see the price level cool off for a little bit, because, you know, anytime you have these big announcements, or not even an announcement, I mean these big events that happen, you'll get price appreciation going into the event, and then following the event, the hype dies down a little, and then people have to figure out, okay, well, what's actually going to happen on the platform? Who's going to actually use this network? And then once that's proven, I imagine price will continue to slowly, or maybe not so slowly, appreciate. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on ADA USD. ADA Ether looks really great. I mean, you know, I said back in 2019 that ADA is my primary hedge against Ethereum. And yeah, I gotta tell you guys, I never really thought it was going to perform this well against Ethereum. But I mean, I sure as hell am glad I picked it, right? I'm really happy that I picked this one, because I saw the potential, and I knew that it would ultimately grow into something much bigger than it was back in 2019, right? It was just sort of realizing that, you know, there is a lot of FUD out there and whatnot with Cardano. But you know what? I mean, the way I see it is people had opportunities to buy it for so long, and there's certain reasons why they maybe chose not to, and now they have to justify it, right? They have to justify the reasons for it. And they'll, you know, I gotta say too, with any project, any successful project, I mean, it's always called. It's always called. I mean, it always goes through these FUD phases, right, where everyone says stuff about it and says it's a scam and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it's just noise, right? It's just noise. Hopefully, we'll see ADA continue to grow with time. But again, the ADA Ether valuation looks incredibly strong. Right? It looks incredibly strong. I mean, the ADA Ether valuation has appreciated from this low here 300% at the current date. My speculation, and this is some very dubious speculation, of course, I think we're going to put in new all-time highs for ADA Ether valuation. Okay, I don't think we're going to be capped at this level up here. I think eventually there's a high probability that ADA Ether will put in a new all-time high with respect to the ADA Ether valuation. For us to do that, we're not going to count the wick that dropped, like when we first dropped on the exchange. We'll count this one though, when we actually went to our all-time high. It would require a 73% pump from here for a constant Ether. So clearly I'm not expecting that tomorrow or anything, not expecting it next week or next month, but I do think that we will reach that phase where ADA's valuation against Ether will put in a new all-time high, okay? Now, that doesn't mean it'll sustain those levels forever, because again, usually Ethereum's the last one to move in a major, say, sub-cycle or whatever you want to call it. But it will probably put in new all-time highs at some point against the Ethereum valuation. It's actually up around 18% this week. We do have the Cardano summit, okay, so that's probably building a little bit of hype right now as well. But remember, a lot of people ask me for these predictions with Cardano and whatnot. And in the short term, anyways, my response is, who cares, right? Like, no one's getting out of bed for a $2.38 ADA at this point. This is just all, if you don't have a position in Cardano and you're looking to get one, you have nothing but time, right? I mean, we haven't really done a whole lot since February. I mean, yeah, we've put in, what, a 2x or something at this point? Just long reaccumulation, right? It's just long reaccumulation. And really, I mean, we are slowly trending higher. We're slowly trending higher over the macro scale. And this phase here, I mean, we're talking about being in this phase for 231 days already. I mean, this is a long reaccumulation zone. But we saw the exact same thing with Ethereum last market cycle, right? We saw the exact same thing. ADA Bitcoin is actually still looking pretty strong here. I mean, we've seen these types of moves before. This was back in May of 2021. We came down. We had another bounce back up in June. We ultimately bled until August, another bounce up. We're currently in a bounce right now. I think it'll be interesting when Q4 gets here. Because a lot of times Bitcoin kind of takes over a little bit in Q4. So even if the ADA Bitcoin valuation is unable to immediately put in new all-time highs, and let's suppose we end up coming back down, it might not be because ADA USD is going down. It could just be because Bitcoin's going up, and when Bitcoin goes up quickly, it leaves the rest of the market behind. Of course, the other thing that would cause us to drop down to these levels would be if Bitcoin fails to hold the 20-week moving average. Remember, when Bitcoin failed to hold the 20-week moving average here, May 10th and May 17th is when we sort of broke through. The ADA Bitcoin valuation, if we go to May 10th, May 17th, I mean, this is May 17th right here, right? Up in this area right here. And that was the first weekly open below the 20-week moving average, right? May 17th. You could look at ADA Bitcoin, that was when it bled. So if Bitcoin goes into price discovery mode, or if Bitcoin goes below the 20-week moving average, we would expect the ADA Bitcoin valuation to bleed in the short term. But either scenario, I would expect this to sort of probably turn around after Bitcoin maybe takes over the show for a little while. But anyways, I do think we have great things coming for Cardano. Make sure you guys are staking your ADA with the ITC2 stake pool. If you're not sure how to do that, you can find a link on information on how to do that in the description below. I'll also pin the comment as well. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe, click the bell icon to turn on notifications. Check out the premium list at intothecryptoverse.com, and I will see you next time. Bye.